All right, so part three, they would, I'm gonna laugh probably every start of this. They would have to probably cover it up, but they came, they weren't aggressive. It was like the oldest white cop I've ever seen in my life. He was like, turn around, handcuffed me or whatever. They had put like this white plastic like bodysuit on me. It was like PJs or whatever. Just so like they didn't like cover me up with like no blanket. Like I had to step in it and everything after I was handcuffed. I wasn't violent. I wasn't resisting or nothing like that. As cops say, like stop resisting, and then they kill you anyway when you're not. It wasn't nothing like that, but it was still real. So took the pieces of paper, whatever. Once I finally got like pulled to the police station or whatever, and I was like sat down waiting, and they're like, after a while, they're like, why'd you do it? And I was like, well, I was talking, properly at the time, I forgot what I said exactly, but I was basically telling them, well, I was trying to go viral. Like, well, why are you trying to go viral? And I was like, well, those pieces of paper, YouTube them, like Google them or whatever. And they were just staring at the computer, just doing whatever, I'm sure, just putting my information in. They weren't doing none of it. Uh, but I was excited. I was still hyped. I was like, I accomplished what I accomplished. Didn't know it'd take this 7 years, but at the time I was like, I accomplished what I accomplished. So I was able to do it. Got what was it? I was like out in like the waiting area after a while, and my mom was sitting there, and she was literally asking like, so like, what's going on? And I kept saying, everything is Pusha T. Everything is Pusha T. Everything is Pusha, like everything she said. So she's like, so this is what we on. This is what we doing. And I just said, everything is Pusha T. Because I was on that mission, bro. I didn't give a fuck if anybody, and I still don't, doesn't believe in how hard I can go and will go for my God. I don't care at this point, and at any point after I discovered what happened in 2018. That just changed me for the better. So like even people viewing this video, it could not be any more. You could not be any more wrong if you think, well, anything negative about this, because I don't see anything negative about this from me. So you can keep all that. I don't feel that way. So my mom's confused and like I'm sure upset that I'm just like everything's Pusha T. She probably thinks I went crazy, whatever. We haven't had this many really any conversations about it. I don't know if she didn't want to quote unquote trigger me or if she was scared to ask, because it gets quote unquote worse as time goes on. Like I said, even though this was top two worst ways to go viral, the parts are gonna get worse. I promise you, the parts are gonna get worse. Bro, this is hilarious. All right, so this is why I'm trying to make them 30 minutes. I'm gonna have to upload these soon, so I don't have my storage freak out again. Um, so eventually, again, timeline is crazy. Eventually, they like take me to the hospital to make sure I'm good, and my brother this time kind of confronts me or is talking to me, and I'm still on the everything is Pusha T, everything is Pusha T, everything's like that's what I'm saying. Those are my only responses, but it's very different because he's talking to me much longer and he's much more emotional because I'm sure he feels bad for me. I'm sure he thinks I've gone cuckoo because I'm not responding like I won't say a normal person responds, but how I normally respond. I'm not trying to be average. These series isn't from an average person, so they can't be an average series, right? Like Michael Jordan isn't average. People are like, oh, don't compare yourself to Michael Jordan. I'm comparing myself to people who aren't average. I could go below average and go with like some serial killer. That's below average because they're doing something crazy. If you prefer that, continue to prefer in your head. So I'm just not average, is what I'm saying. And my brother quickly was hurt, and he felt the hurt because I did not change. I kept saying my response, everything is Pusha T. He had tears in his eyes. He was shouting in front of a lot of people. And I was just quiet, sitting there quiet. And eventually he left. Eventually they took me to you can call it a psych ward. It was one of the hospitals. But there was other people. I always thought like a psych ward was like in the movies. Um, but I hadn't seen a lot of movies about psych wards, so I always kind of thought it was like a straitjacket situation, and you didn't talk to nobody, and you were in a room by yourself. I didn't think there was a lot of other people, and it was kind of more of like a, I don't know if I'm using this right, but like in a simulated experience, not simulated, but like a simulation where you fall in line. So there are people that are on their way out that are fixed, that are better now. Like, yeah, I'm happy. And they get the fuck out like within the first few days. There are newbies like me who come in the first day or two. And then there are people that who are like in between, who are some are doing better than others. But it's simulated as, you know, you come in here, you do this, you do that, you do that, and then you leave. You come in here, you do this, you do that, you do that, and then you leave. So I quickly, again, through the reaction videos and everything, in that time frame, I don't know if it was a few weeks or a month or whatever, I was able to pick up on more subtle reactions because I was in the reaction videos replaying certain things. Like when I say this beef was so real for me, it's an understatement because I was able to ascertain a lot of different experiences and skills in a short amount of time because I was heavily inspired and motivated by what was going on in the beef. Something that can change your favorite artist to now your most hated artist is not a average thing. Not negative, not positive, it's just not average. I'm not saying it's not negative, I'm not saying it's not positive, I'm just saying it's not average. So, with that being said, being able to like, okay, let's replay this 10 seconds over and over and over again. Whoa, that's crazy how they react that way. All right, let's do this. Let's replay this whole 2 seconds over and over again. Oh, it's crazy how they react this way. I'm putting it together in my head. Like if they had all the information that I have right now, I don't know how they'd react because they would be like, bro, he's really not gonna stop. But I'm literally telling you, like when a person tells you something, I've learned you have to believe them. When a person tells you something from the jump and it turns out to be true, you should have believed them at first, but you have to believe them because a lot of people do lie. That's why you shouldn't necessarily believe what comes out of their mouth. If they say one thing and then you're watching how they move, put those puzzle pieces together. It's not the news where, oh, they're prestigious. It's not a doctor. Oh, they have this degree. You know what's going to keep you warm at night? Those degrees. Kanye West College Dropout album. Like, you could have masters, and still be horrible. But people look up to you because you have the prestige, all the whatever. I don't get it. But I'm not average, so I don't have to get it. But basically, in the psych ward thing, I was there for 2 weeks. The first bipolar episode, I was there for 2 weeks. And once I get there, I'm gonna put this all in this one part. Once I get there, there is, how do I put this? A time period where I'm really selling the part. I'm laying on the bed and I'm like all slumped on laying on my stomach, and the covers are all crazy, and I'm not moving, not responding, not doing anything, and they keep coming in and checking. Chris, you okay? Chris? They leave. Chris, you okay? Chris? And they leave. They're not like really touching me too much. I think they might have done like a little bit. It gets to a point because I've been like, I was like that for hours. I mean hours. It gets to a point where honestly, they had like turn the light off, turn it back on. They knew I was there the whole fucking time. Sometimes they turn it off and leave it off. And then later they come in and turn it off. Like after watching these reaction videos and seeing how people react, I'm now trying to see how they're reacting to my insane stuff because the whole diss track was insane to me. That whole beef. So now I get to sit back and enjoy how they're reacting to how I'm being insane. Like, oh, he was brought in because he was streaking, he was trying to go viral. Now his parents or his mom and his brother thinks he's actually lost it, and he's not responding. He's laying there drooling, not responding to us flickering the lights, saying his name. All right. So now I'm reacting of how far they're gonna take it. The last thing, well, not the last thing, the two things that I think are the craziest thing. One is inferring, and then the other one I can say for sure happened because I saw it with my own eyes. So let's start with the inferring, because the for sure happened you're gonna find way crazier. So even though I find both of them crazy. So after the light flickerings or whatever, and the Chris, and everything like that, leaving the light off for a while, come back in later, turn it on. I'm not moving. I'm like, when they're walking in front of me, because my head's like hanging off the side of the bed, I'm my eyes are open the whole time, and they're not getting a reaction. They're doing this. So now I'm really seeing how far That's why I'm saying I'm having fun. I'm really seeing how far I can see how they go. That's why there's a lot of stuff in this world that I don't believe anymore because of how far they went. During like the first fucking day, bro. The first fucking day. This all happened in the first fucking day of me in the psych ward. So once I'm there, after all this, there's a point where I forget which happens first. So I actually will tell you the one that you're gonna find crazier at first, because I feel like it might have happened first. So eventually they came in, and it was a nurse. I don't want to give the races away, but they're both males. It was a nurse, and then like a person who seemed like not a doctor, but like the head leader of the nurses. And they put on the show. I will say the show. Because I was so sane in the head at the time, knowing like, okay, I'm not crazy. I was literally doing this to go viral. If I had just said that to the doctor, they'd be like, no, you must be crazy because no one's going to go this far. Bitch, it's almost 7 years later, and I'm making this fucking video series. Kill yourself if you think that. If that triggered you, please do it. Oh, man, I love it. So, I literally have the nurse and the head nurse come in, and they're like talking, and they're like, hey, it's time, like the lower nurse, it's time for your medicine. It's time, I just need you to, whatever. No, just sign it right here. They put the pen in my hand to get me to sign it. I just like, I'm like groggy. I'm like, I'm not really groggy, but I'm like, selling the part. Like, I don't want to do it. I'm like rejecting whatever. And he's like, no. Man, he's like upset that I'm not taken. He's like, it's time for your ejection. And the pills were like so bright red and everything. Like, it was different colors, bright red, bright yellow, whatever. They're big pills. And I'm thinking like, I have asthma, and I self-diagnosed myself with bipolar, and these pills were tiny white. Those pills are not tiny white. You didn't tell me, hey, it's time for your whatever, insert medication name here. You just said it's time for your medication. So I'm thinking they're trying to see how I'm reacting and responding. But I was already like, nah, like, I didn't think they'd go this far. I was literally just trying to sell the part. But as they were going further, I was like, all right, I got to keep going, because I'm really curious to see how far. It got to a point where I stopped because of how far I was getting. But that happened. That same nurse, male nurse, the lower one, had put like a yellow wristband on my right wrist. Not yellow, my bad. Red wristband on my right wrist. And he was putting it on, and he was like bending down, like crouching as he was putting it on, and I'm kind of like looking, like doing the groggy thing, like whatever, and I'm staring at it, and I'm looking, and it just has my name on it. Didn't say like any hospital name, didn't say last name, just first name, nothing else. I don't remember anything else, but my name was really big, written in like Sharpie letters. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, and I'm like struggling, putting up a fight to take it off and rip it off. He's like, no, because I rip it off. And I just go back down and land in my position. And he seemed defeated. And, either he picked it up then and there and left, or he came back with the head nurse, had like a fake conversation, picked it up, and then left. Again, I don't really care, but that's what happened. Now, the second thing, that was like the worst thing that I felt like they were going far. I didn't think they'd go far enough. The second thing was the last thing that I remember. It happened twice. This is, again, intuition. So you could take this either with a grain of salt or completely disregard it. But after that incident I just told you, I don't think I'm going to disregard it 100%. So I'm laying in my position. When I say I'm laying in my position, like, the pillow's here, like you lay on your stomach like a bed, but I'm like below the pillow, my head's off to the side, my arms are like hanging off the bed, my whole body's sprawled out, spread it out. So I'm back in that position. And again, my eyes are open. Bro, lights are on. I literally see the whole time I'm there, this hasn't happened. I thought, man, I'm gonna have to edit this video. I'm not gonna restart it, but I'll edit it, even though I don't want to, just for the sake of time. Uh, what's it called? Yeah, so that's the position that I was in, and I normally would hear footsteps when they would flicker the lights or whatever, or they would put on their show and try to put on fake wristbands, give me fake medications or whatever, or say my name. I would hear footsteps. Tell me why. Your answer should be I don't know, or because they were trying to set you up, or see how far gone I was. But if it's not any of those three answers, I don't know what you're thinking. But tell me why. I did very not, like, I had zero, I didn't really hear any footsteps, but I felt that there was a presence in the room. The devil's trying to interrupt me. How can I put this? Literally hearing, I felt that there was a presence there, like a nurse or a doctor, but I didn't hear it. Because I didn't hear it, I knew it was very intentional, because every other time wasn't intentional. I had been intentional the whole process of getting there. So I'm sure they were trying to just be professional at this point. Now they were being super intentional and me not hearing their footsteps. Because they were being not professional by putting the fake stuff and giving me fake medication and trying to get me sign fake papers or whatever. So when I thought I slightly heard something, soon after, because I'm like laying like this, there was like a piece of like, like those like inside of like pillowcases, like the white feather type thing. It had just like in it, and the whole time I was laying there, there was no dust, no hairs, no feathers, no falling nothing, no falling debris. But this time, just out of my peripheral. So like the edge of the peripheral, something just like fell. I didn't see no hands, just fell. For whatever reason, this happened like 2 or 3 times. For whatever reason, I could tell you what was going through my head, and I'm sure it had to be way more truth to it than anything. When that happened, and because I didn't hear the footsteps as prominently, I honestly thought like I might have not heard anything until that happened multiple times. Then I was like, hold up. What I thought is being confirmed 2 times, 3 times. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, there is like a dude in like a bunny suit, so they can get me to turn like based off of that, and I can literally look and be like, oh, that dude could run out and they can say I'm crazy because I was hallucinating, because backed up by the evidence, microphones, cameras, whatever. I've never been in the psych ward. Backed up by the concrete proof that he hadn't moved for hours. He was very groggy, very resistant when we did this, wasn't responsive when we did the lights, wasn't responsive when we said, they would have so much of a case. Again, lawyers, prestigious master's degrees, blah, 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 blah. That's what that is. I'm what I am. They have so much of a case if I had just turned my head and saw whatever they want me to see. That's why I say you could take this with a grain of salt, because I didn't see it. I just knew whatever, and I heard slight. And because it was so slight, I was thinking it had to have been not a nurse. Maybe they had different types of like footwear on. That's why I think like a bunny costume, because you got like big feet, like a clown or whatever. I'm thinking I'm gonna see something crazy, because I literally saw eventually a little bit over, again, just out of my peripheral, but it was even worse than the this one, because this was just out. This was even more just out. And I'm thinking like, okay, is it like an all white, all pink bunny costume? Someone standing there, something. That happened twice where I thought somebody was like maybe in 2 different costumes. It was probably the same costume, but I was thinking like something. I was like, this hasn't happened. I'd never been in psych ward, never been like that. And this happened after all of that buildup. Now you're trying to get me to react in different ways. First there was saying my name, At first, they was turning the lights on and off for a few seconds, then they was leaving them off for a longer time, and then turning them back on for a longer time. Then they would just leave them off. Then they had people come in, the nurses, putting on the show, putting on the fake wristbands, giving me medicine, fake medicine, to see if I'd take it, to see if I'd leave the wristband on, to see how responsive. You know how like defeating that would be to be like, oh, this guy's too far gone, and then I'm still checking off the boxes that matter. To them, how defeating that would be. I don't know. You could ask them, but I don't know. So I just thought it was funny. And yeah, so I'm thinking they're trying to get me to turn my head, so I just stay in the same position. That bunny costume or whatever they're trying to get me to see never came in front of me. That's why I say take it with a grain of salt, because I never actually saw it except for the thing. That's what I can see. May or may not have heard footsteps, whatever. I just felt like I heard some slight, noises that I shouldn't have heard, that they were trying to cover up. But I definitely saw that feather, whatever, and I thought that was strange, because the whole time I was there was nothing. And this wasn't a ceiling with fur. I wasn't like ruffling up the blankets and the pillows. I wasn't doing none of that. So it wasn't on my head, and it just came, eliminate any logical, oh, we got a master, so logically this. No. Forget all the schooling. This is what you feel at this point. You know what I mean? Like, if God didn't have a master's degree, would you would you question why doesn't he? Or would you say, no, he's God, he can do whatever the fuck he wants? That's the type of time I'm on. So this happened, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how long it is, but I've been doing this to the point where I'm uncomfortable, like laying here. And I was already uncomfortable the whole time trying to lay there, and figured, I was like, fuck it, let me get up. So I get up and I'm sitting down, and I think this point where I say like, I'm like yelling out like, hey, help, help, or whatever. And someone comes in, or I don't say anything, but someone comes in eventually. I forget how it played out. But this dude comes in, another nurse who I'd never seen before. And that, again, is something I noticed. I had seen him after that, like for the rest of the bipolar 2-week psych ward thing. But that nurse I had never seen before. So I was literally talking to him like a normal person. I wasn't repeating everything as Pusha T. I wasn't groggy or nothing. I was focused, I was attentive, but I was sitting up in my bed, and I remained in my bed. Because I kind of felt threatened at this point. Like they were willing to do more, which is why I stopped. Because I was like, that was a lot, bro. Like, let me chill. So I was chilling, and he came in, we had a back and forth. And I was like, so you don't think it's weird that I haven't been responding the whole time, and we're having a back and forth, and I'm talking to you very reasonably right now? You don't find that strange, or whatever? And he was disregarding like everything I was saying, bro. He was keeping it so, super professional. Because I'm sure if anybody came in there like me, he hadn't seen it. So, because you don't go from all the way what to all the way, or all the way off to all the way on. And I was doing that within hours, I'll say, like half a day or whatever. So I asked for like a phone call. I want to talk to my mom or whatever. And he's like, yeah, you can do that when it's like morning time. And I was like, okay, what time is it? And I was trying to get information out at this point, like being like, what time is it? He's like, oh, it's this time. Like, it was like early in the morning, like 4 a.m. or something like that. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know it was that late. But, I stayed up until that happened. I didn't go back to sleep. And I was able to come out, got some water. I was acting like the most normal person from that point all the way on. So it's like when the first impression is so what you don't want it to be, and then right after that, because it was so potent, it was still short, but it was so potent, it was like, I can't think of anything but this now. But everything else but that is so like, okay, I could kind of see if he started off like this, we wouldn't have no problems. How long would you continue to remember that so potent moment? That is what I want to know. You can put that in the comments if you want. That's interesting to me. That's interesting to me. Because when people make mistakes, people focus on the mistakes more than anything. That's why we're all flawed, and people try to hide their flaws. I'm not hiding my flaws no more. So like, if anything, if you only want to see flaws, pick and choose which flaws you prefer to see. It's so fun to say this finally though. But because I was trying to say it in different ways, but people really just was like, this nigga crazy. continue to say that in the comments if you would like to. I really don't care because the videos are going to keep going. Oh man, like I'm telling you, it's gonna get worse, worse. It's so funny, bro. All right, so this video is probably gonna have to be way shorter because someone's coming in. So I'm gonna end it here, even though I don't want to. I'm gonna get some food and then I'm gonna start uploading the videos. This is part 3 or part 4? I don't know.